Sean Diddy Combs is back in a New York courtroom, marking a third attempt to be released on bail in his sex trafficking case. He's been in jail since his arrest in September, and today's hearing is happening as Combs' lawyers are accusing prosecutors of manipulating a disturbing video, one that you've probably seen. It's the one that shows him brutally attacking his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hotel hallway back in 2016. CNN's Elizabeth Wagmeister is live in Los Angeles. Elizabeth, does the Combs team have a strong case here to make, especially in light of these recent allegations that he's been making calls from behind bars that could be seen to influence maybe witnesses?
Look, Brianna, so Combs' team says that those allegations about those phone calls and tampering with witnesses from behind bars, they say that that is not true. They are denying all of that. There have been filings flying left and right. Today, we've had two new filings. Last night, there was an additional filing where they spoke about that video that you just referenced, Brianna. So Combs' team, they are working very hard to try to get him released. As you said, this is going to be his third bail hearing. We'll see if third time's a charm. But right now, what we see here is some screenshots from that disturbing video that our team broke here at CNN. Now, what Combs' team is saying in this filing is that prosecutors, they claim that they submitted a version of that video that our team released. Now, we have not seen that alleged video that prosecutors submitted to the court for these bail proceedings. We don't know what was in them, but Combs' team is saying it's edited, that they left out some of the material, that it's out of order, and they are taking issue with that. Now, I want to read you part of what Combs' team said in that filing, Brianna. They say, quote, "The video is not evidence of a coerced freak-off and sex trafficking, but rather a sad glimpse into a decade-long consensual relationship between Mr. Combs and Ventura." So they are categorizing this as a sad moment within a consensual relationship. I think what you saw, Brianna, what I saw, what the world has seen now, is that video depicts a horrific, violent attack against a woman. Now, we do not know what happened behind closed doors. The footage that we have seen occurs in the hallway of that hotel room. But what happens in the hallway of that hotel room, according to the footage that our team obtained and released earlier this year, again, is Combs dragging Ventura, kicking her, throwing a vase towards her, a glass vase towards her. So we will see what the judge has to say. But right now, Combs in a courtroom, the third attempt to get out before his criminal trial. Remember, Brianna, his criminal trial is set for the spring of next year, and he has been denied bail twice. He is trying to get out as he awaits that trial.
Yeah, that may be a tough sell, but we'll see what the judge says. Elizabeth, thank you so much for the report. Boris?
Let's discuss some of the details with Joey Jackson. He's a CNN legal analyst, a former prosecutor as well. Joey, thanks so much for being with us. This is Sean Combs' third try to get out on bail. Do you think he has a better chance this time around?
So he may, Boris. Good to be with you. And here's why. You heard Elizabeth reference the issue of the recording, and here's why it's significant in terms of its manipulation. Just to reset, the critical to his denial on bail were really two factors. The one factor related to him being a danger to the community. The other factor being how he would potentially obstruct witnesses. Now, critical in the prosecutor's arguments at those previous hearings was the fact that there's this tape that everyone has seen, and they said, prosecutors did, that tape was in the context of a freak-off. It was in the context of sex trafficking. It was in the context of him being violent as it related to that count in the indictment against Miss Ventura, right, who's referred to as victim one. But here now comes the defense saying, hey, by the way, the prosecution has misled you, court. This had nothing to do with a freak-off, as is alleged, which were the parties that he was allegedly having, that is P. Diddy, with all of these instances going on with coerced sexual activity, etc., had nothing to do with that. It also had nothing to do with sex trafficking. This was a domestic dispute. Now, it doesn't make the violence in the tape, Boris, any more tenable, right? Violence is violence. It shouldn't have happened, but it gives it context. Now, when you get down to the manipulation of the tape, the reordering of the tape, did you mislead the court? If they did, that's a factual question. A judge won't be too happy. Second brief point, and that is they're also arguing, the defense team, that there's the issue concerning his ability to prepare and be ready for trial. If you're going through and rummaging through his notes and other records that are attorney-client privileged and peeping at them and looking at them and using them against them, how could he prepare for trial? So those, we know that there was a raid of the cell and there were certain notes that were used that the prosecution now has. Defense team saying, no, we need to be able to prepare him. So those are the two critical arguments that they're making. We'll see whether they carry the day. But to your question, I think this new material certainly gives and may give the judge pause this time in terms of saying, maybe it is that I should grant him some bail package that is reasonable or not.
Joey, about those personal notes, the prosecution has argued that this was a previously scheduled search. I'm wondering how a judge goes about determining where to land on whether these notes are actually admissible, and do you expect that the phone calls that he's apparently made, allegedly made, to be significant? These like three-way calls to try to convince witnesses to do one thing or another.
So, Boris, everything has a context, right? And so when you evaluate the context, let's look at the notes. Yes, it could have been a pre-planned search, and it's important to search in jails. Safety and security is preeminent. You want to ensure that. But when you get notes and other materials that could be subject to attorney-client relationship, there should be a filter team that is a team of prosecutors who have experience to go over those records to determine whether or not they could be usable. Now, those prosecutors generally are unrelated to the case. They'll look through it and they'll parse out the material. And if it could be given over to the other side who's on the case, they'll do that. Defense team says they failed, that is the filter team, in that regard, because those notes should have never been given and used in this case. That's number one. That's troubling, and there should be a hearing as it relates to that. And so we'll see where the judge lands on that issue, moving forward with regard to whether or not. I think the notes are certainly not going to be admissible, but I don't think the judge is going to be very pleased in terms of you using that against him. And it furthers the defense's narrative that, hey, you know what, we need him out here, right, so that he could prepare with us, not inside where they're peeping and looking at his records and documents.
Joey Jackson, always great to get your perspective. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, Boris.